Awesome. Well, hey, Jessica, Cameron here. Wondering if you can tell me a little bit about the first time you heard about Girls Club and what got you interested.
I actually heard about it through leadership here. My leader, Dharma Shah, he's been working with Factor 8 and Girls Club for several years. And we actually started with Factor 8, and I was loving it so much. He asked me if I would be interested in a very female focused version of this, not really knowing what I was diving into. I loved the idea of extra development. And so I absolutely said yes.
Cool.
Mhm.
Pop your glasses off your head. They keep going like in and out of the.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm good. Oh, good. Awesome. Well, the first session that we had in Girls Club was all around, a kickoff and getting the excitement going. If you can think back to that session in April, were you nervous? Where were you sitting at coming into a program with people you have never met before?
I was extremely nervous, but extremely excited. It kind of reminded me when you're going up on a roller coaster, right? And you're not really sure what twists and turns you're going to come across, but you know it's going to be fun. And that was the feeling. It was just very bubbly and exciting. And I of course saw Jax's face, and I knew she was going to be my best friend forever. And yeah, it was the first time I had been in a room with like-minded people that were just as motivated and just as excited about developing our people, and wanted to talk about these topics as passionately because you don't find that really across the board in the industry as much. So it's very cool to be around like-minded people. Mhm.
Very cool. Now, I know that you came into this program already leading a team. So tell me a little bit about the lessons that you took, or I guess the content that we went through, right? There's over 5 months, different content teaching you leadership skills. Were you still able to take away nuggets from that because you were already in a leadership position?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like this is the type of program I wish I would have had 20 years ago when I got my first leadership position. And I feel like you guys collectively took all the best coaching advice and that's out there, and made it less that you needed to land under the right leadership to be able to get upskilled in this way. It's all right here. It's all prepackaged, and beyond that, what I found extremely helpful was being able to develop others underneath me. I started doing a little mini version of this here. And we were actually able to promote a couple people out of my team into leadership as well as other reps. I've been having at least 2 to 3 reps getting promoted out every month this past year.
That's great. And says a lot about your leadership and really interest in developing them as well, which is
Absolutely. Thank you.
well, I got the chance to meet you at the retreat. And so tell me a little bit about the experience of being in that room.
Ooh, that was like the most nervous I've ever been, but the most excited. Being at the retreat again was physically being in a room with people who are like minded. I think Lauren said it best. Where we're used to sitting at tables with wet rags. What does it feel like being in a room with light bulbs? Everybody has great ideas. Everybody wants to get involved. At the retreat, I was watching CEOs and CROs, offering to put time on calendars to help in areas where they had gaps. It's more than just development. It is a community that you can really join and be a part of. And I feel like I am home with our group of people, honestly. I mean, this is why we still meet and get on calls. It's because these relationships that we built.
Great. Tell me a little bit about your relationship during the program with your mentor and what that looked like.
Mark is fantastic. I actually just met with him again this last week. He was the mentor I was not expecting, I should say. I really was very excited to get in and like do the work, right? Which Mark is definitely the type of leader that will get in and do the work, but he had such a chill approach about it, and it was really interesting. I really felt like I had him in my corner the entire time, and I went through a lot of a lot of ups and downs, you know, through the last 6 months, actually, while I was going through this program. And so checking in with my mentor every week, it almost felt like a big deep breath. It just felt like the extra amount of support that I don't get. And he is in my life now forever. We're still going to keep meeting. And I'm just so thankful to have him and to have met him through this program.
Wonderful. When you think back to the different sessions that we had, so we had things from confidence building to community sessions to more thought leadership webinar style, is there one session that stands out to you or one takeaway from that session if you have something in mind?
Oh, there's too many. I feel like for me personally, Yamini was my favorite one, just because I've had aspirations my whole life to get to a CEO level. And her going over her path was so inspirational for me and really level set expectations. And what she said in that was she was never worried about CEO. That was never her goal. It was just doing the best thing or the best job that she could every day when she came in. And I found that so inspiring for whatever reason. The way that she said it and the way that she prefaced it's right. Like, we have fun. Sales is fun. We're having a good time. And when you enjoy the work that you're doing and you're really trying to do the best that you can, promotions will follow when you're doing the right thing. And I feel like this is one of the first best steps that you can make in your career pathway to get to that next promotion, which is investing in yourself as well and your own development, not just the ones of your reps or your peers. I found this to be um, level setting with all the thought leaders that we got to meet with and all the mentors that we met. Um, but but also it put a lot of things into perspective as far as um, making sure that we are also putting our oxygen masks on ourselves. That's really important. And I'm absolutely walking away with that as one of my top 5 lessons from Girls Club, for sure.
Perfect. What piece of advice or one thing would you say to a woman who was nominated for this program? Nominated, we don't know what it means, but what would you tell someone is their first thing they should consider or last thing that should change their mind?
Okay. First of all, they should be stoked that somebody loves them enough to put them in this program because it's life changing. But second, I would say if they are going to commit to this and go through this program, have an open mind. And I would absolutely take notes because some of my notes have absolutely been, things that I go to still. My journal, I had a separate journal that I kept for Girls Club, and it's cool because it's kind of like a pathway of my journey through Girls Club. And I find that it's stuff that I still go back and look on. So take really good notes, have a great open mind, and make as many friends as possible with the mentors and with your peers, because that's your future community. You're really not only building your own self up and developing yourself within this program, but you're also developing your professional community, people that will come work for you or that you will go work for. People that have strengths in areas where you have gaps. It's really just an interesting situation and program to be in because it really does hit so many different areas to make the work-life balance and life be better in general and leadership, in my opinion.
Fabulous. Final question. What would you say, or how did you experience the time commitment? Was it balancing, whether you want to talk about balancing like work, life, and this program, hours a week, that kind of thing?
Right. It again was very much a commitment for me. I run a team of 30 plus people. I was also doing my team and I were doing all the onboarding for all of the other sales reps that were coming through at the time too. Again, it was a really chaotic time for me professionally to be investing this extra time every week. But it becomes something that you run towards. it becomes the work that I couldn't wait until our girls club meetings. I could not wait to get to my homework because again, it was like an oxygen mask. It was feeding myself what I needed to be a better leader for them. And it was feeding myself things that I could impart and instill in them to make them better leaders for people that they will be future leaders for. Because this is not just a one-stop shop. This is something that you can pass down generationally. And um, I just really think that this is just such a well-rounded experience for, I'm not a young leader. I'm not early in my career, and I definitely learned a few new tricks. And I think that it doesn't matter where you are in your career path. I feel like even if you've been leading people for 20 years, like I have been absolutely taking notes and making sure that I'm filling those gaps the way they've never been filled by previous leadership. Um, it's worth every dollar and every amount of time that you invest.